we're going now to go to pronouns. So we are studying three case forms: nominative, possessive, and objective. So what are the 8 categories? And this is according to the book Tagalog Reference Grammar. So first, you have the first person singular. So this is the only category that corresponds with the English I, me, my, I, me, my, and mine. So ako is I, ko is me, and akin is my or mine. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit and to explain the difference between my and use of akin. So we're moving now to the dual non-plural, kata, nita, kanita. What is this? And hardly anyone, of course, says this anymore. But this corresponds to the English we, us, our, ours, when the latter is used to refer to the speaker in a single individual address. Okay? And then, let's look at the second person singular. And these are ikaw, ka, mo, and iyo. And this is used when addressing a person familiar to the speaker or someone of the same age or stature. Okay, so look at these two examples. Ikaw ay mabait. Okay, so, or mabait ka. So, you use ikaw as subject and mabait ka when it follows. It like object. Okay? Lapis mo ito or iyo ang lapis na ito. So, what is iyo here? Iyo means it's yours. Okay? Lapis mo ito or iyo ito. Now, what is the difference? So, let me explain. You use iyo, right? You use iyo, akin, kanya, before the object. You use mo, you use ko, mo, and nya after the object. So there's always pronouns before the object and pronouns after the object. Now, however, don't get confused because the words akin, iyo, and kanya has a second meaning, right? They can be used for your, my, your, his, and hers, or they can also be used as mine, yours, and his or hers. So that's the difference. Now, let's continue our study of pronouns. There is a special pronoun. So what is this? This is a special composite pronoun, kita. What is kita? Kita combines the meanings of a first-person singular noun form and a second-person singular ang form. So what is this? What is it? So kita occurs in the non-occurring sequences ko ka or ka ko. So, for example, what am I trying to say? Let's pretend I'm saying I love you. Okay? So we say mahal kita instead of saying mahal, love, I, you. When I'm trying to say love, I, you, and I'm trying to translate that, it comes out as love, so mahal, ko, I, ka, you. So it's mahal, ko, ka. That's a bit weird, right? So we don't say that. So instead, we use the special pronoun mahal kita. Okay? So, for example, you want to say, I hate you, right? So, you don't say, kinasusuklaman, which is hate, right? Kinasusuklaman ko, ka. Weird. So, instead, you use a special pronoun. Instead of saying, hate I, you say, kinasusuklaman ko, ka, you say, kinasusuklaman kita. Okay? So, so that's what you say. You don't say, ako mahal ka. No, you say, mahal kita. Let's move on to pronouns. Okay. So now you have the third person singular. Siya, niya, and kanya. And these are, so remember, we use siya, niya, kanya both for the masculine he, him, his, and the feminine she, her, hers. So remember, pronouns in the Philippines are not gendered. So, and this solves a lot of problems, right? So for example, if you're talking to a transgendered person or a gay person or a lesbian person, you don't have problems of what is your pronoun preference or something like that. You just use siya, niya, kya, kanya, and you're good. Okay. So it's used for both the masculine he, him, his, and the feminine she, her, hers, third person singular when referring to people or pet animals. Okay, so pet animals, you just consider them as people as well. It's okay. So Tagalog has no inanimate third person pronoun and none which refers to animate features that are not human beings or pets. So as I was saying, Tagalog has no inanimate third-person pronoun and none which refers to animate creatures that are not human beings or pets. So, for example, what if you want to talk about a horse, right? Unless the horse is your pet. So that's a different thing. But for example, in English you say, the horse isn't there. It is missing. So see, notice the word it in English. But in Filipino, we say something else. We say, wala roon ang kabayo, which literally means not there, the horse. And then you say, nawawala, or missing. Of course, some people say, nawawala ito, it is missing. But it's also fine to just say, nawawala, missing, done. That's it. Okay? So let's move on as we continue talking about pronouns. So remember, that both the first person plural, kami, namin, amin, and the dual plural, tayo, natin, atin, corresponds to the English first person plural, we, us, our, ours. However, the difference in meaning between the two Tagalog categories is a matter of the composition of the groupings they designate. Okay, so just bear with me, okay? So, the plural forms. Thus, the former may also be called the exclusive person plural, kami, namin, amin. What does that mean? That it's exclusive. So the moment you say kami, okay, it means you. And for example, you're talking about the people with you or the people behind you. It's just you. Kami, we. Namin, right? Our. Amin, ours. Okay? So both namin and amin can be used to mean our. Okay? Amin, you put amin before the noun. So for example, you say aming bahay, our house. You put namin after the noun. Bahay namin, house, our. That's what it is. But look at amin. Amin can also mean ours. So, but what it is you're not including in that, for example, our house, the person that, or the people you are talking to. It's just you and whoever other people that also own the house with you. Okay. Now, what about tayo, natin, atin? So this is the inclusive first person plural because it includes the person addressed. So we can say tayo, natin, atin. Okay? So again, ating bahay, you put atin before the noun. So it's our house also. When you say bahay natin, it means house, our. Okay? And atin, remember it has two meanings. It can mean our, it can mean ours. So, when you want to say, for example, bahay natin, it includes, the people with you plus the people you are talking to. Okay, so let me give another example. Let's pretend you're saying, we went. So when we say, pumunta kami, so for example, I, and let's pretend my friends, we went somewhere. Okay, now I'm talking to you. You are friend C and D, right? And I'm with friends A and B. So when we say pumunta tayo, we went, It includes A, friends, A, B with me, and C, D, the you two people I am talking to. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so let's look at other examples. So we say, nahanap namin ang susi. So, and nahanap natin ang susi. When we translate this in English, both sentences can be translated to, we found the key. Okay? However, the literal translations of these sentences are, found us the key and found we the key. Okay, let's move on. So let's look at the second person plural, which corresponds to the English you, your, and yours. Now, this is also considered to be a polite form. So in informal conversation, ninyo is contracted to nyo. So when do you use this? So you use the second person plural when you're talking to a stranger, or when you're talking to an older person. So in informal conversation, ninyo is contracted to nyo, and this frequently appears in dramatic text or scripts and so on and so forth. Now, however, when a person wants to be very formal, he or she should use ninyo and nyo. So let's look at an example. So for example, a student says to a teacher, tingnan po nyo ang libro. Look at the book. Or literally, look, and then polite form po, the book. Okay? So, as you can see, in conversational Filipino, we don't really say, tingnan po ninyo ang libro. We contract it, so it sounds more natural. So it comes out as, tingnan po ninyo ang libro. Notice also the placement, or the use and the placement of the word po. Po usually appears after the first word, or after like a phrase or a group of words. Okay? So, and the teacher says salamat, which is thank you. Let's move on as we continue to study pronouns. So the third person plural, sila, nila, kanila, corresponds to the English they, them, their, and theirs. And like the third person non-plural, is strictly animate in reference. Okay, let's have this summary about pronouns. Okay, first, there is no equivalent to the English word it. We use siya when we refer to pets, or simply we do not use a pronoun. Second, that we in English corresponds to both namin, so our, just us, and natin, our, so including you, the person I'm addressing. So third, the plural form is used to indicate respect and unfamiliarity with a person.